A very good morning to you and welcome to Sonoma Raceway in California as we get ourselves ready for weekend number 5 of Ferrari Challenge North America 2026. We were here last year, of course. It was considerably greener because we were here in March, I think it was, right at the start of the year. This time round towards the end of July, the temperatures are high and it's going to be a fun session of qualifying coming up for you in just a few moments. My name's Andrew Coley, alongside me is Tony Valander, reporting from the pits, Nina J. Paul. This is where we've been so far. We started the season at Thermal, of course, then it was over to Sebring, COTA, Circuit of the Americas, Austin, Texas, Laguna Seca, just over the Golden Gate Bridge, now Sonoma, and then Road America to finish off the American leg in Wisconsin, and then over the Atlantic to the Finale Mondiale, which this year is at the Circuit of Barcelona, Catalunya, the famous Formula One track near Barcelona in Spain. Let's have a look at this incredible track then. Tony Valander alongside me in commentary is, of course, a Ferrari ambassador, but an excellent GT racer as well. And Tony, you've raced here a few times. It's a real track of two halves.
Yeah, I've raced here before with a 488 GT3, and I really loved it. This is a track with a nice flow, some elevation changes as well. It had a lot of character before. It was resurfaced 2 years ago and it changed a little bit. The lap times got a lot quicker, up to 2 to 3 seconds quicker. And also the character with the tire deck, especially for the race, it changed a little bit. But very intense lap of Sonoma, and there's no real margin of errors, which is a real characteristic for the tracks in North America.
Yeah, it is a fantastic circuit to be bringing this brilliant championship to. These are your weather stats. It's 20 Celsius at the moment. Track is 35. Fahrenheit, we're seeing some pretty high temperatures. 95 or 68 is what we're seeing on our timing screen. 65% humidity. It's windy, but it is very warm. And looking at the lap times during the course of the various sessions this week, this track does very different things at different times of day. We'll get Tony to talk us through that shortly. There are some of the cars getting ready to come out now. We're going to start with Pirelli Am, then on to Pirelli Shell Am, and then Shell, of course, have 4 different categories, and they will race in 2 different classes tomorrow. The 2 Shell classes together and the 2 Ferrari classes, and that is Casa Ferrari right on the outside of turn 11. It's actually my favourite Casa Ferrari of the year. It is so well situated, so close to the track, spectacular fast braking zone. Loads of noise. It's a beautiful building and it is a nice place to spend the day. We'll have to get lunch there later, Tony.
Yes, I love Sonoma. I love the Casa Ferrari, the atmosphere. During the season has been great, but if we can step up the game here in the Sonoma is something special every year.
It is indeed. There is the timing totem pole. In the background, you can see how much the elevation changes in the first few turns here. So we go through turn 1. Right the way through to the end of turn 6 is basically up and down on the hills, and then you drop down, and from 7 through to 11 is much flatter. So all the elevation in the first half of the lap, the very quick corners, a sequence of corners in the second half of the lap. You've got to string it all together if you want to get yourself a good time. Tony, we're hearing that turn 2 is very bumpy. We've had a few people have moments in there. We've had a couple of people actually off during testing this week, but yeah, turn 2 apparently quite bumpy.
Yeah, approaching to turn 2, and it's not an easy corner, even without the issues with the surface of the track. You come through turn 1 with a lot of speed, and the track goes up the hill to the left-hand side. You need to really keep the rotation, keep the speed into turn 1. It's an interesting place also for the race start. Some intense moments there, often with the GT cars. They also race here Indy cars and many other categories. So this is a very packed lap, very intense for qualifying, but also for racing. And you mentioned turn 2, but there are many other places as well where a driver needs to be really on it. Like I mentioned before, is a nice flow. And the mental approach for qualifying is a bit tricky because you don't know exactly what's going to be the pole time. Is it 28, is it 29, or is it 1:30, depending on the temperature, depending on the track conditions. So for driver, important thing is to get a solid lap and maybe try to improve after that. If you just overdrive on your first 2 attempts, it may cost you several places.
Thank you, Tony. Great insight as always. Now, Tony's not the only member of our team, of course. Down in pit lane, we've got Nina Jade Paul. Good morning, Nina Jade.
Good morning, Andrew. Good morning, Tony. Welcome to the pit lane here in Sonoma, where the heat is on very much. It's on and off the track, really. This circuit is special, but it is highly technical and it will punish any mistake. Finding a clear piece of track and getting the tyres in the perfect working window will be the key to a good qualifying today. And the stakes are high. It's the penultimate round of the North American leg of this championship. Johnny Kaminsky has himself a lovely lead, but in Pirelli Am, Shell and Shell Am, the standings are a lot closer. So there's a lot on the line. One weekend can change absolutely everything. The California sun is well and truly shining. Let's get quali underway.
Thank you, Nina Jade, as always. And the cars are out on track and on their warm-up laps. So 15-minute session, up 3 minutes if you've been a regular viewer the last couple of seasons, 3 extra minutes this year. We found that has tended to limit the incidents, I think, because people have been able to warm themselves up a little bit more slowly, take their time to get the temperatures up. Tony, I mean, it's a fair old lap here, but temperatures are a little bit lower in the morning. Last time out, we were seeing people doing, at Laguna Seca, they were doing 2 or 3 laps of tyre warming. But what's your thoughts here?
I would say a similar thing. You cannot force the issue too much. Like we see in the pictures here, Michael Matthews, he's creating temperature through braking, excessive braking, even on a little straight lines where he's still using more brakes. So that's the best way of creating heat to the wheel and through the tire. And like I said, normally with the challenge car, the warm-up, that the rear tires come in a bit quicker, and if you don't have the same input with the steering that you were used to on the fast laps in practice, you need to wait. It takes more laps to get the front tires in, and once you feel that the grip is there and the turn in of the race car is there, then you can really go and charge for those fast laps of your qualifying.
Matthews coming out from turn 11 up through the start-finish area. Start-finish last year, of course, it was one of the few races that Massimo Perina lost because he crossed the white line too early. Gregory Hopkins now, further into the lap. See, the curbs have been fully painted black. This is the run down to 11. So left-hand side here is actually pit entry. Goes right the way around the outside of turn 11. As you can see, just in the foreground of your shot there. So inside the catch, this side of the catch fencing, and then it's on the gas and away. We had a brilliant onboard lap last year with Johnny Kaminsky as well. There's the very fast turn 12 and over the start finish line, and that, Tony, is what you're talking about with turn 1. It really is committed into there.
Yeah, you need to be committed. You need to really send it to turn 1, carry a lot of speed up the hill into turn 2. And you mentioned that in practice it has been a tricky place, but often it starts already of the charge you're having through turn 1, and then you may end up off the racing line into turn 2. So a lot of the corners connected to each other. We mentioned flow. You need to have a good, nice flow throughout the lap. You mess one corner, it means often that you then have issues with the next 2 corners as well.
Yeah, that's the second one. I mean, all the lap is linked together, isn't it? But certainly from 8 through to 10, he's very, very quick indeed. I'm sure we'll see some of those late sections of the lap. This is up through further into turn 1, and then on the braking zone into turn 2. If you're looking at Matthew DL, we saw Jan Bernier before that as well. Bernier, of course, is in that championship fight with Mitchell Green, just 4 points in between them. Outstanding performance from both of them, having come up from Copper Shell last year into Pirelli Am. And to move straight to the top of the standings, Tony, the ladder of performance here works really well, of course, coming up through the categories. But I think it's impressive that both Green and Bernier have performed at the front of this category just as they did in Copper Shell last year.
Yeah, first of all, the system with Ferrari works really well. If you're a newcomer to the series, you most often start with the bottom, but as soon as they see your pace, and if you are really talented, they will move you up quite quickly. You mentioned Bernier and Mitchell Green. Seems like wherever they go the last 2 seasons, they're always next to each other. In the race starts, in qualifying, fight to the championship all the way to the last rounds, last start. So this has been a very interesting battle to follow in North America, but also at Le Mans. The same couple, the same 2 drivers, they were fighting at the beautiful track of Le Mans.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. Love to see them battling everywhere they go. Kevin Gutierrez, he's just dropping through Carousel, which is turn 6, and then there's this kink left and the big braking zone down into turn 7. So there are 2 options at turn 7. We're using the shorter one this weekend. 7A goes out wider, and you can see it coming back in. This is the very quick section now through the S's. As we say that, we switch to Mitchell Green. You can actually see the attitude in the car there as well. That's that bit of elevation down through the S's and then into 9, 9A and 10, and he's now on the braking zone past pit entry. So 1 minute 30.6 is Mathes's time. Tony, we've seen quicker than that, I think, haven't we, in Pirelli Am during the various sessions this week?
Yeah, it's still quite a good opening for this qualifying session. The Pirelli Am drivers, they were able to go below 130. Barros did 129.6 in the practice, so still more to come. But it's a good start for the qualifying. It shows that the track is there, and it just takes few more laps to get the timing and scoring really purple and lap times maybe even below 130.
Michael Porter here, Kevin Gutierrez, you saw just before. Gutierrez managed a 129.9 during some of the sessions. Here we go, look up through that fantastic turn 1 and 2 over the crest. And Matthew DL now coming down towards the end of the lap.
Yeah, Porter goes to the lead.
The run up to turn 11. Ah, yes, 130.2. Jan Bernier up there as well. Mitchell Green, 0.7 off at the moment. Green, the championship leader, 236 points for him. Matthew DL going across the line and improves by some 6.2 seconds. So that was his first quick lap. Slots him into P7. Ah, Bernier with damage. Jan Bernier has had big damage to the front of that car. Look, smoke pouring off the front left side. The hood is crumpled, the headlights are missing, the front bumper is also damaged. So Jan Bernier has had quite an incident out here. He's in P3, so in theory, if he needs to pull out a qualifying now, he'll still have a reasonable qualifying position, but he's not going to take any further part in this session. So, wow, big drama. We'll see if we've got a replay of that. Wow. Disaster there, Tony.
Yeah, that was a big shock for the qualifying. At the same time, Michael Matthews takes the lead of this qualifying and goes below 130. But Mr. Consistency, Jan Bernier, he hasn't done a lot of mistakes over the last 2 seasons, but this is a big one.
There were some waved yellows at the start-finish on the previous lap when DL crossed the finish line, and we're hearing from the tower that he potentially went off in turn 1. We're not sure we've got an angle of it. Weird damage, Tony. To only have damage across the front, it makes you wonder, doesn't it, if he's spun and just come to a halt in the barriers. I wondered at first if he's run at the back of somebody.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think we don't have a replay of that, but there was a lot of damage on the front of the car. Very difficult to say. Like we mentioned before the qualifying, it's a very demanding lap here with a lot of elevation changes and a lot of dirt even offline, but as soon as you drop a wheel on that exit curb, there's no grip. You lose the control of the car easily. A lot of speed into many of these corners, so I would still assume without seeing a replay that he had an issue on his own. I don't think he had a contact with the other car, but maybe it's something we can find out even during this qualifying if Nina can find out something what really happened, because this is a big shock for the championships. The points are made in the way that you just need to be consistent. Sometimes bring home P3, P4, but now being a back of the grid or struggling in qualifying, it's not a good thing for his championship.
Absolutely not, and he's dropping down the order, Tony, so as people are getting their tyres up to temperature, he's sitting on row 3 at the minute, but at the moment, Mitchell Green is only sitting on row 2, so Green needs to find 0.3 of a second, because Hopkins is only 0.077 off the pole time of Mathes at the minute. But he needs to capitalise if he can, if Mitchell Green can try and get a row ahead of Jan Bernier. And that, of course, Jan Bernier's squad are going to have to do some serious work on that car as well. It doesn't look heavily damaged, but still, you know, race car things, it needs to be perfect, needs to try and get the alignment bang on. There is Mathes with the purple time, telling he's top of the sheet. And as we said earlier, there's only Burrows went 0.3 quicker earlier on this week, and that was obviously in good conditions. It's a little bit cooler in the mornings, which helps. There's Gibson coming through the final corner. Had it confirmed from race control that he went off at turn 2 at the top of the hill. Red and yellow flags out as well at the start finish. That might well be because of a little bit of debris from Bernie. I'm just going to look at the track. So this is roughly where he went off, trying to see if he's brought any dust or anything back on, but it looks pretty clean, to be fair. Tony, 3 minutes remaining. Just looking at our timing screens, there are still Hopkins has still posted a good lap, and Mitchell Green as well. Mitchell Green is still P4 though. Not showing that Green's in the pit, so he might still be circulating.
Yeah, I would say that seeing the lap times, the track is quite consistent to let's say to have the fastest lap times of the week so far. These cooler temperatures and a lot of days of running, many days of running and testing here has provided a lot of grip in the racing line, but I can see a lot of cars charging. They're really pushing the limits, that special area of turn 2 where you are hanging there with the car, first driving to the left and then quick turn to the right, and you can feel and hear the tires being on the edge. And if you have an issue with that disconnection of the racetrack and with the rhythm, you go too early on throttle, you get a little bit of over rotation in the entry. We see another car off.
Yeah, I think it's Gutierrez. Yeah, it's Gutierrez has gone off.
Yeah, Gutierrez lately has been in a great form, but sometimes a little bit of, I'm not saying overdriving, but he's often on the limit and he just dropped the wheel.
Yeah, Gutierrez had pole back in Sebring race 2 and Laguna Seca race 2 as well. So done well, but 0.5 off the road at the moment. He'd need to get another quick lap in to get a flyer before the checker flag. Porter showing us in the pits.
Yeah, here we see the elevation, really what we mean from turn 1 to turn 2. Rarely with the TV images we get the clear idea, the clear view, how much elevation, how much difference there is on the track. Same thing with Coda, turn 1 is very difficult to describe the feeling going up to turn 1, and here is the same thing. The whole lap is basically a roller coaster, or at least the first half of the lap.
And it's compression crest as well, Tony. Like turn 3 is a big compression, turn 3A is a big crest. And then you're dropping down again through the carousel. You've got the crest after 5, then downhill all the way through the carousel. And then there is just this bit of elevation change on the return run down the other side of the circuit as well.
Yeah, this is one of the tracks where this is one of the tracks where with my engineer, I just love to have always fresh tires, new tires. Tony, you want to go for a long run? Not me. I'm staying in the pits, and I just want to have the fresh tires, the feeling for qualifying. We just posted a good lap time in practice. You want to do more laps? No. Keep this feeling and be ready for qualifying, because it varies a lot. Up to 2-3 seconds, it can be a difference with the race pace compared to qualifying. So I would say go for the maximum performance, and then in the race, just live with it.
There we are, Tony Villander with his brilliant experience with Ferrari as a brand race here at Sonoma. Look at that, the camera moves as Gutierrez comes through. So Gutierrez has made it with 13 seconds left. So this should be this will be his last push lap if he doesn't quit the lap. So he'll have on his steering wheel, of course, the splits, which will let him know whether or not he's on a flyer. We're seeing Burrows.
Yeah, Burrows really waited until the last moment. He doesn't have, at least on my timing and scoring, he doesn't have a lap time yet.
No, same. So if Burrows hasn't set a good lap here, this is one and done for Burrows as he comes over the line. Might not even have had enough time to get the car up to speed in terms of temperatures. The checker is out. Oh, look at that. Bangs it into P3, 0.2 off. One and done, Tony. You were just saying how much you like fresh tyres here. I wonder if this is a little bit of a move by Burrows, and that's a great performance to just nail it in one lap.
Yeah, for us it shows that this was something they planned. Maybe a lap more could have been useful, but they really nailed it. and in case there was no issues with the car, they really timed it right, and great performance. He saved a lot of race tires for race 1, and he's in a good place.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic job. DL crosses the line plus 0.4. That's P5. That's good for DL. Here's Gutierrez. So this is one of the key laps. He's been on pole a couple of times this year. Coming through the final corner now. He was 5/10 off. He was off the road earlier. And Gutierrez moves up to P6. Not enough. Now, interestingly, Mitchell Green and Jan Bernier, what did we say earlier on, Tony? They are always together. And Bernier managed a couple of laps before he had the incident. Mitchell Green has taken the checker flag, and they're together again on the 4th row.
Yeah, this was the moment for Mitchell to really fight for the pole and make the difference with the starting grid compared to Jan Bernier. Bernier had a messy qualifying, but again, they are there next to each other. So interesting for race 1 today later on.
Burrows is showing us 4 laps on my timing screen, which is interesting because he didn't pop up until 2. Mathes showing similar. Hopkins looking like 6. Gutierrez did 10 laps. Matthew DL 9. So we are going to see people with very different levels of tyre deg entering this race later on today. If you want to join us for the races, they'll be on at 13:15. That's 1:15 p.m. Pacific time. We've got a fantastic air show this afternoon. Ferrari Challenge always likes to open its race meetings with spectacular style. I believe today is going to be extra spectacular, so don't miss out. Nina Jade Paul has already managed to bag our pole winner, Michael Mathes.
Michael, cool, calm and collected. You got that lap in pretty early on. How satisfied are you with that pole position? Congratulations.
Well, it's tough to be unsatisfied with a pole position, so I was pretty happy about it. I think I maybe had a little bit more in it, though, so tomorrow will be another great test of that.
Oh, that's exciting, more in it. So what's going to be the key, Michael, to converting this into a victory later today?
I think, late yesterday I ran a fair bit of sessions on old tires and had some really nice pace, and I think it's just duplicating that, being able to be good and consistent throughout the race and take it from pole to the finish.
Congratulations. Good luck later.
Thank you.
So Michael Mathes feeling there was a little bit left in the tank if he needed it, but he did not need it this morning. He takes pole in Pirelli Am. Confirmation of it, Michael Mathes, 129.966. Hopkins P2, then Burrows, Porter, DL Gutierrez, Mitchell Green and Jan Bernier. Championship front runners will be starting on row 4 today. Not ideal from either of them, but to be fair, it's very close across the lap times. If you look, 0.5 of a second across the top 8 is very close indeed. Sun Ho Lee and Hayden Gibson completing our top 10. So next session is prepped and ready to go. Cafe Pirelli will be out on track. A bit of work to do. So is this where Bernier went off earlier on? Damage to the wall, it looks like. The track crew are down there. Oh, it has been, look at that. The catch fencing's moved as well. And they've got the rubber belt. The guy in the yellow jacket's holding the rubber belt, which goes across the front of the tyre stack. So they're going to be repairing that for a few minutes. In fact, the K-rail might have moved as well. So I think there could be more damage than we're thinking on the front of Bernier's car. So it'll be a bit of work for the squad to do. We're going to take a look at an onboard lap here from Sonoma, which we did with David Beaton.
Hey guys, this is David Beaton, driver of the number 18 Ferrari Challenge car for Scuderia Corsa, and today I'm going to take you on a lap at Sonoma Raceway. So here we are at Sonoma Raceway. We're going to turn 1. You want to downshift to 3rd and stay to the right to have a good exit. Then you want to track out, get a good entry to set up for turn 3. You want to get up on the left side of the curb. Then you want to brake around this 2 marker, downshift to 2nd, and track all the way out. with good exit speed. You want to stay really close to the right. Coming up to a blind corner, you want to brake in the middle and go towards the inside. So exit of the carousel, want to track all the way out, get a good speed for a good overtake in turn 7. Here you want to brake at the 3 marker, downshift to 3rd, get a good exit and track all the way out. Here in the S's, you want to hit the apex perfectly to maximize the speed and the exit. Here you want to brake a little bit and back on power right away towards the exit. Approaching turn 11, you want to brake at the pit entry and stay tight to the apex to get a good exit and track out. And that's a lap at Sonoma Raceway.
Fantastic start from David Beaton guiding us around this track. You can see the drag strip in the middle there, the corners of which are along the outside. That's what we mean about it being a track of very much 2 halves, with all that elevation change in the first few corners and then a drag strip smack through the middle of the base of turns 9, 10, 8. On the opposite side, of course, turn 1, which you're seeing on this side. There's Johnny Kaminsky at the front of the pack with the yellow wheels. Behind him, Roberto Perina. Perina with the door open, which gives you an idea of how hot it is in the cars for the drivers. They won't be too happy about waiting on barrier repairs. And they're all ready to go, of course. They won't have known that the guys were going to head out and do the repairs. One thing, Tony, I was struck by with the onboard lap from Beaton is you really have to trust your brakes when you're coming into turn 11, because there is no runoff on the outside of it. You know, it's turn 11 and the wall.
Yeah, it is true. You also need to have a car that doesn't have too much understeer. And I was also thinking about the turn 2. You come very, very high speed through turn 1, and if the rear of the car is a little bit light, it might cause trouble in the entry of turn 2, and that's why some of the drivers have had issues. If you have understeer on these long radius corners or corners that you just go with the full throttle, you lose a lot of time and you overheat the front tires. So it's always a balance with the setup and what the track requires. Lap here is very intense. David Beaton, he looked calm in his office, but still a lot of things going on. You need to have patience where and how to go on throttle, how to get most of on the exit of the corner. So David Beaton in general, very interesting young man, a lot of passion for his racing. He's consistently training at Mont-Tremblant racetrack, and he's also still racing in go-karts. So he's on it in various sectors of motorsport. So I think we're going to see a lot from him in the future. He's going to be back with racing tomorrow with us. So interesting lap in general, and good reminder also for myself how intense the lap is around Sonoma.
Brilliant shots of the drone as well. The drone was showing you just about the elevation change through turn 6 carousel. It is so steep downhill. I wish we could. Every track we go, doesn't matter where you are in the world, doesn't matter whose broadcast it is, television cameras flatten the track, and when you go there and you see it, it's like wow. And I think the drone there was a very good indicator of exactly what Tony was explaining, just how steep this place is. Okay, we're underway then for Trofeo Pirelli. The 15-minute clock will start, and these guys will be out on track. Kaminsky heading out early doors. I wonder if he's going to try and do what we saw earlier on. A very quick one-lap run and keep the tyres for later on. You've got to know you're going to get it dead right first time out. He was the quickest driver this week, a 1:28.8. But again, Tony, in a morning session, I suppose probably a very similar time of day to today.
Yeah, we are expecting lap times below 1:29. Johnny has been super impressive in some of the qualifyings, like almost doing faster than lap times that everybody thought that are possible to do. Sebring, for example. Some issues also during the season, some setup related stuff, some technical issues on his race cars, not always depending on him or his race team, but he has showed a lot of confidence this season, and he really knows how to take just the next step of the performance on these challenge cars, and he's really the driver to follow. Normally needs 1 or 2 laps, and he's straight away on it. So Johnny has been in another level this year. Roberto Perina, the last few races, has been very impressive. Laguna Seca, he was really good. So let's see, especially the fight between these two drivers. Here we see Perina that sometimes is able to be even faster than Johnny Kamiński. So this is an exciting dynamic between these two drivers.
It is green flag for the session. A blasting pass straight away. Perina up through turn 1.
Yeah, still warming up.
2.
Yeah, still warming up the tires. He already lifted very early into turn 1. And for these Pirelli drivers, who are our most experienced and let's say fastest drivers, they really feel when the tire is ready. And when the tire surface is brand new and shiny, even if you have a little bit of temperature inside, you still need few laps to have the maximum performance on the race tire. And there is the difference between the experienced driver and the one that really goes in and says, now I'm going to do it, and you probably lose something in the process of how to prepare the tire for qualifying lap.
Yeah, these guys know very much what they're up to. You've seen George Grinzovich, the third, heading out now as well. I think we've got 8 cars entered in the top category this weekend, but Kamiński in command very much in terms of the standings. 283 to Perina's 232. Brad Falvera just a few points behind Perina, but Falvera, one of the drivers who had an off this week during one of the sessions. Grinzovich the third, also only a few points off the back of Falvera, and Brian Cook in the mix as well. Some of the other drivers have dipped in and out, Manny Franco being one of those drivers who's taken a couple of wins this year, but hasn't been with us at every round. That's made Kamiński's life a bit easier, but he certainly hasn't looked like he's not trying hard on the weekends when his top competition isn't here. It's looking like a record-breaking season for him. Over the crest there at 3A and then into 4. And it's just crest dip, crest dip. This is 5 now through, and watch for the carousel, this next corner. So over the crest, and then you're diving immediately. Tony, so much of this course is blind in terms of exactly where you're putting the car.
Yeah, these are the things that you don't really learn in Europe. Many tracks in North America have the same characteristic, similar tracks like most sport. You just need to trust. You need to know where the grip is. You need to follow how the track evolves during the week of testing or during even the race week. And you just need to know where to place the tire, where to place the race car. And this is something that also is difficult to teach for the drivers, because it's a not good solid braking point, or where to go on throttle. You need to work on it all the time. Soft brake, keep the car, keep the rotation, and keep a good speed into the corner. So this is often the case in US as well, where these are a little bit less F1 Formula 1 style tracks, and these are a little bit more old school.
Yeah, so you're almost feeling your way around on each lap, aren't you, as grip levels change and your commitment is different. Ah, no, Perina. So Perina is going slowly. Is he off? Has he been off? He is. He's outbraked himself, I reckon, at turn 4. Okay, well, here he's going slowly, so no issue. There is Kamiński in the background, but Perina hasn't set a competitive lap at 5.5 off. If that's his session done, he's going to be at the back of the grid. As you're looking at Grinzovich now in the 63. Kamiński with a 130.7. That will not be his final time, I'm sure of that. 130.8 for Grinzovich, just a 10th off. Perina rolls to a standstill. Now, it may be that he can do a quick reset. We always joke about the whole switch it off and switch it on again, but there are a lot of electrics in these cars now, Tony, and sometimes a little reset on the cut-off switch can make the difference.
Yeah, from the images, it looked like he was around turn 4, maybe in the runoff area, breaking into 4, and working on his race car. We could see that the front tires were moving, so he was straightening the steering wheel. Maybe a power steering issue, maybe, like you mentioned, an electric issue. Oh, Johnny Kamiński really aggressive. The tightest line we've seen today into turn 11, and half of the car was inside of the inside curb. So very impressive driving from Johnny. Oh, look at the lap time.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a big one, isn't it? Straight away. 128.8 was the quick lap earlier this week, and he's gone 4/10 quicker. Even his dad, Brian, is shaking his head at that. That, I think you'll find, will be the pole lap here. That's 4/10 quicker than he's gone this week. Brian looks, he's trying to look cool, but I think secretly he's probably quite stoked for his son.
Yeah, the interesting thing here was he warmed up the lap tires for 2 or 3 laps, and we need to now go through the images. Where's the shortcut? Where did he cut the track? This was a very impressive lap time. Yeah. Wow.
It was. Well, you mentioned he was as tight as you could get up at the hairpin, so yeah, maybe he's been saving something all week for that one lap. Drivers have been known to do sneakier things. You know, if you know there's a couple of tenths somewhere and you save it for quali, so no one can see what you're up to during the various practice sessions this week. Either way, Kaminsky has nailed it there and could well head straight into the pits after that lap. He could rest the tyres and go again, but I just can't see the need, Tony. At 128.4, I say 4/10 up on his quickest lap of the week. Why go for another lap?
Yeah, tell it to a driver though. One thing for the drivers is when you post the fastest lap time, the best thing is you keep going. You see the sector times and you see your own predicted lap time on your live screen, and then just go with the lap until you see I can't improve. And like we saw there, the images, Johnny Kaminsky is back into the pits.
So Kaminsky does go in the pit. He may well have gone for that second push lap, as Tony said. They have a live split on their screen, which tells them if they're green, which is personal best, or purple, which is best overall, and literally updates over every metre, every yard of the track, basically telling where they are. Grinzovic hoping to get in front of Ferrari here, and does. So 0.8 off Kaminsky. Grinzovic's time is a 129.3. And that's Favre, who will be going to respond immediately. Favre now coming up to the start-finish line. And Favre doesn't improve this time round. So yeah, personal best for Grinzovic, and well, Perina's still showing his personal best as that last lap.
Yeah, without Pirelli drivers, they need just less laps to get most out of the tires. So there's more than 5 minutes still on the clock, but I think most of the drivers are already either on a cool down lap or even coming back to the pits, as they have felt that the best from the tires is gone.
Yeah, we know. Bravo, Johnny. Yeah, job done. Absolutely outrageous lap from Kaminsky. Of course, it will be much busier for the Pirelli guys later on when they go racing alongside Pirelli Am, although they will have a bit of a gap to that pack. Roberto Perina really has got away with it today. I say David Beaton will go racing tomorrow, but not today. So Franco also on the entry list, but not taking part in this session. So yeah, Perina really, Tony, with only 4 cars second of time, he's kind of got a get out of jail free card, hasn't he? You know, he's only going to start on row 2, even with the issues.
Yeah, for the driver, it's never a good thing to be able to perform in qualifying. For sure, this was not something that Roberto was looking forward to. Yeah, he still has all the tools to fight for a good race result. P2 is even possible if nothing special happens, but every second, every tenth he loses to Johnny and the opening laps, it will be very difficult to charge back. If Johnny has something that he didn't consider too much, was the race setup. Let's see in the race. We've seen a few times this season where suddenly another car drops halfway through the race and then a big increase of performance to another driver. But normally on a paper, Johnny is just so strong, but Roberto has to fight back in the race. Unfortunate to see that he couldn't do a solid qualifying session as he was hoping for.
Falva has rolled off as well here. He's continuing back to the pits. We've got a few minutes left in the session. Tony, prior to the session, you were telling me about in terms of setup, and this is what you were saying, you were hinting at just then. You know, you can set the car up for quali, or you can maybe set the car up for the race later on because of the way this track changes and the fact that the temperatures will likely be so much higher this afternoon. We've seen from the times earlier on this week. You know, what do you do if you're a driver? I mean, will they change the settings a lot between the two, or do you want to go out with a quali car? Yeah, bearing in mind, obviously, it's the same set of boots, the same set of Pirellis all day as well. What's the method here?
So what I always do in my racing, I always base my performance and also the long runs, what do I have in the race. So always with the mileage of the tires, where we at, where we with the lap time, and how is the balance. So I think the interesting thing here was after Pirelli Am qualifying, the P1 driver, Michael Matthews, what he said straight away, I had a good run in practice with used tires. So where does the balance take me? Is it more towards the understeer? I can live with it. Let's leave the car like that. After qualifying, I'm predicting I have a lot of oversteer, so I need to do something with the race car. I need to lower the rear. I need to do something to get more grip, more long run, more performance on the rear tires for longer distance. More neutral qualifying with the sticker tires, I can live with it, but then in the race I need a good solid race car. So this is really up to the practice. What did we learn in the practice? And this is the expertise of a driver engineer. And here every driver is an individual. It really varies a lot. But this is normally the process how you approach it, and then you do the changes most often planned already, that for qualifying we use this ride height, I can live with it, but for the race we need to do something else. We add a little bit more fuel to the race. Maybe this balances the car, maybe the balance goes a little bit more to the rear tires. So these are the things that the best teams and the best engineers know together with their driver.
Thank you, Tony Villander. Excellent as always, mate. We are so lucky to have your expertise here on the announcing team at Ferrari Challenge. Is that Dragon or a Phoenix? What's your money on, people? Kind of dragony. Down the side as well. It's Michael Crow. It's a crow. It's a red crow, is it? I like that. Okay, we're getting a thumbs up for a red crow. Michael, we like your livery. It's great. Very cool. That's really cool. Imagine seeing that in your mirrors. That's going to make you worried. That's a furious-looking crow as well. Kind of smiley but furious. Somewhere in between. So Kaminsky, that is, I've just been looking at his stats. He had coming here, where was he? 7 out of 8 poles. So that is 8 out of 9 pole positions for Kaminsky. I still think Johnny's going to rue the one that got away, because the way he's going at the minute, he is looking, as I said earlier on, at a record-breaking year. But all the same, pole by some margin, 0.8 of a second. The clock is still running down for the Pirelli session, but as you've seen from our shots in pit lane, the drivers are already getting ready for Copper Shell and Copper Shell Am, which are coming up next as 2 different sessions. And yeah, clock's still got 20 seconds to tick away for Pirelli, and then we should see these Cup cars roll out. Nina Jade has managed to get hold of Johnny Kaminsky. Let's go and find out how 8 out of 9 poles, man, he's feeling.
A very happy Johnny Kaminsky. Johnny, another front row star, another pole position, and as the championship leader in Pirelli, you have handled the pressure all season so far brilliantly.
Yeah, I mean, it's super cool to come back to Sonoma. I know last year this was my first event, and you get to see the progress of the journey and how hard I'm working. And, you know, I just took a break last night to really, the same feeling of going into the race has been completely different mind, like headspace, and it's been super well. So the team gave me a great car. We've been working hard all week. So thank you to 111, Jimmy John's, BAE. Just a good execution this morning. So car was on rails, and I'm super happy about it.
You said last year was your first event. I remember last year when you came and all the big names were worried about you then, and you've just come so far since. How proud are you of yourself and your team?
I mean, yeah, it's been great. It's been an amazing journey. I know these couple events are my last Ferrari Challenge events, so I'm really soaking it in. But coming back to Sonoma has always been such a cool vibe, and just enjoying it with the team, and yeah, soaking all in and doing it with my family, my dad, and it's been really cool. So to put it on pole for race 1, I'm just super excited about it. So.
And then the race later today, what's going to be your biggest challenge?
I mean, I think we've been working hard all week on setup, so I'm super excited for the race. So, I mean, it gets a little bit hotter, but we got to just manage it and execute.
Well, congratulations, Johnny. Proud to give you this pole position award. Enjoy.
There it is, P1, the 8th out of 9 times, as we said many times already. Get that man a bigger shelf. Johnny Kaminsky sticks his 296 challenge car on the pole here with a good gap over P2. George Grinzich, the third, 0.8 behind. Brad Falver, another 2/10 back. And then Roberto Perina didn't manage to complete a fast lap, so he will be P4. That's not too bad. Outside of the second row. I'm sure Perina will still be able to put up a fight later on today. Kaminsky says he's just got to execute, and that is exactly what he did this morning. Right, next session is ready to go already. This track's going to be busy. Go on, Tony, yeah.
Yeah, I love the American Racing School. It means not only being fast on track, but also the list of sponsors. It comes like Ricky Bobby in Talladega Nights. You mentioned then, like, I wish I've had done it in my career, so maybe I could have moved a little bit more forward. So, well done, good job, Johnny.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a great kid. He really is. Lovely family, always smiling. I love the fact he said, I took a little break last night. He's obviously got his head in the space, come out and execute. And with the top drivers, I often think, I've been lucky enough to work with a bunch of them across different disciplines, and it's always make the plan, execute the plan. And that is exactly what Kaminsky's doing. And I also love the fact, Tony, that he gave a nod to the progress, to the process and the progress from last year.
Yeah, but it happens so often in our sport. The first win, the first pole, and then after that they just keep coming. It's just the thing to be able to do it and to self-believe that your actually thought process is not going into qualifying, something will go wrong, or how can I perform not to mess this up. Instead is how can I go faster, how can I improve. And he's a great example of just obviously you learn and know all the tracks from the year before, but the car is more or less the same. The team is the same. Driver coach is the same. It's him behind the steering wheel that is making a bigger difference than year before. And this is the growth. This is the progress. This is the way you improve. So this has been a very interesting to follow, and obviously looking forward to the end of the season in US, but also for the finals. Where does Johnny Kaminsky's performance go worldwide with the Ferrari Challenge? So this is interesting to see also for Barcelona.
Yeah, I can't wait to see where he stacks up. Of course, there are series in Europe, the Middle East, out in Japan. Various different Ferrari challenges around the world. We've got one in the UK as well. And it's always good when you get the top drivers from all the series together at the end of the season. I'm just waiting for the session to get a green flag. You're on board here with Tim Dweet. Saw the dashboard light up there, so car in neutral at the moment. I can hear a blower in the background, so I wonder if he's still got a blower into the car just to keep him cool. There's the rear view mirrors just fired up in the middle. It's actually a rear view screen. And they will be baking down there in the cars. This is the worst part of any motorsport for me, Tony, was always the waiting.
Yeah,
you
this
want to
is
get
where
going,
the drivers
sitting in the car is awful.
Yeah, there's two things where drivers are more nervous than normally. One is before qualifying, and the other is before actual race start. The mindset is a bit different. In qualifying, you fight against yourself. You want to perform, you want to do all the things that you were told to do behind the steering wheel, while before race starts, it's you trying to avoid trouble. Race start, it can be, anything can happen, so just be alert and try to survive. While in qualifying, you need to find your edge, your performing edge, which some drivers find easier to go faster in qualifying, and some drivers just can't put it together, and you actually lose some pace even compared to practice sessions.
Well, let's see who's going to put it together in this one. Front of the queue is Fabian Sperman. Pretty sure it was Sperman who was quick earlier on in the week, Tony.
Yes, lap times were around 131.6, 131.5. So the expectation, having seen 2 sessions now, is more or less the same. The temperatures, the track condition, the grip is there. So Fabian Sperman is a driver to follow. A lot of talented drivers, a lot of consistently well-performing drivers in the Shell Am category. So Melissa Kozira is one of them who this year has really stepped up. Since the last race of last season in Mugello, she's been really on it, fighting often with Fabian Sperman. She has been really decisive in the race starts and restarts. Sperman, a little bit of variation at the race start, some issues. He even joked with me in Laguna. I think he said, maybe it's better I have a poor qualifying and then I come through the field in the race. So here we have Fabian Sperman warming up the tires, trying to get the heat, trying to get the car ready. Not ready yet for this coming lap, I guess, but the drivers are getting ready, and also more cars on track in this session. Important is to get free air in front of you, so the aerodynamic of the car is working like it normally does, and also for the driver reference, it's good to have clear space in front of you.
I think also with this being Copper Shell Am, so this is our entry category, if you like, into the 296 Challenge. The variance in pace between the front runners and those at the back of the group will be a lot more than it is in Trofeo Pirelli Am. So yes, you want to be towards the front. We've actually seen pretty much racing on the out laps, the warm-up laps, haven't we, from some of these guys and girls in previous sessions, Tony, as they try to get to the front of the pack and make sure they've got that clear road.
Yeah, we have their driver coaches who often are with the live feed, what is happening with the car. Then they see our feed here and they're trying to advise the driver, leave more gap, or there's a driver in front of you that in practice was really fast, stay with him, stay within the distance, follow the other driver, and it will drag you to a better performance. So it really changes and varies from different situations, and also drivers, they do learn over the season. This driver is the one to follow. This driver normally lets me by in qualifying, or this driver is even blocking me. So you want to avoid those situations where your clear lap is blocked. And even with the Shell Am category, the peak of performance for the tires, it's limited amount of laps. So you don't have the whole 15 minutes and saying like on the last lap I did my best, so you know that you lost something already before if you did your last lap as a reference or best lap.
So only 3 of these drivers have actually had the pole in this category. You're looking at one of them, Melissa Kozira, the championship leader. She's 21 points clear of Fabian Sperman, who is another driver with a pole. And in P3, Tim Dweet, 206. So he is just 15 points further back again. And he is the 3rd driver to have had a pole. So it's Dweet, Sperman and Kozira. There was one other driver at the start of the year, which was Joel Rose. No, sorry, it was Glenn Moss, who was moved up a category, Tony.
Yeah, interesting to see 3 drivers came back to the pits. Jeffrey Nürnberg, Tim Tweet were 2 of those. Maybe to check the pressures, maybe to just break the clean, shiny part of the tires, wait a few minutes at the pits, double check the pressures maybe, and then go back on track with the clear space.
Interesting, so they're willing to gamble on it being a bit late. Last year that didn't pay off. I remember distinctly during the qualifying sessions, we had people spinning on the out lap and then losing 4 or 5 minutes immediately of the qualifying session. But as we've discussed a few times this year, with the longer sessions now, we're seeing less haste, I think, less hasty behaviour. 2 drivers here, both with a replaced door, I see. So Steve Check on the wrong side. I think it might have been Gomez on the other. You can always tell if people have replaced the panels. They may not have had time to wrap them. The other clue is the grey front bumper is another clue that someone has taken a bumper off. Helen Chu here in the yellow car. Very familiar livery. Looks very cool as well. More cool liveries. There are cool liveries, but there's space for more cool liveries, Tony. There's a lot of red Ferraris here. I'm not knocking it. We're quite well known for the red, but you know I do like the funky ones.
Yeah, it's great to have a mixture of different liveries. I love the basic stuff because there's a lot of history with yellow, light blue, with the red Ferrari, but also nice stories. The car liveries goes to the helmet, driving overall, drink bottle, the race trucks, everything. So those are nice stories as well. You mentioned unwrapped parts, normally means contact with the barriers, but also the T next to your racing number, the T car, means that you had either a technical issue or you had a little bit bigger hit with the barriers, meaning that you had to replace the chassis and go straight to the T or test car. We've seen that a few times over the season already.
We did also see some people with some brilliant performances in the T car, and then you wonder, well, are they going to keep the T car, you know, for the next event? So it was actually Kenneth Sweder we were seeing in the yellow car. Helen Cheese was certainly yellow earlier on in the season, but it was Sweder we were seeing on the rollout lap, so our bad. But yeah, some people have done brilliant results in the T car, and I say, you just wonder then, do they just peel the T off at the next one and say, you know what, I'll keep it? I think I might be tempted. That's Jamie Garrett, who was in a P1, P2 situation earlier on this year with Melissa Kozira, first ever P1-2 for female drivers in Ferrari Challenge North America. We actually think worldwide. It was brilliant. Then they jumped in the swimming pool. Mega.
Yeah, big variation still in the timing and scoring. Jeffrey Nürnberg is up in P4, even he's top in the pit lane, but like I said, there's a big variation. A lot of things will happen in the next few minutes. The fastest lap time right now, 1:31.9, which is already in the zone. If the fastest lap time was 31.5 in the practice, so good start for qualifying from Lynn. And let's see the other drivers. Spearman now up to P2, a little bit less than 4 tenths behind.
Yeah, so Spearman in the mix. Kozira down in P6. Remember, she's the championship leader at the moment. Tim Dweet down in P11, but moving up. We're looking at Paul Lynn in the middle of these two, who is currently your pole sitter, but Paul Lynn now in traffic. And a 1:42 was the last lap, so that's either a rest the tyres lap or a too much traffic lap. He'll be glad he got that fast lap in earlier on. This is that compression we're talking about. Look at this, the compression through 3, then it's a crest through 3A, and then you run the car out wide and you're immediately on the brakes for 4, which is dropping down again. And Lynn is desperate to get through here. He's got Steve Check in behind him, and they're not getting the space that they would like right at the moment. It's Jeffrey Keel in the 117 just in front of them. And Keel, of course, is perfectly entitled to take whatever line he likes. He's probably out on his warm-up lap, and the other drivers have got to find their way round. Try and find a bit of space. Spearman 0.3 off, Roberts 0.5. Tony.
Yeah, that was the clear example of the traffic. You just posted the fastest lap time of everyone, and then on the next lap you run into the traffic and you probably lose a little bit of the momentum. So a little bit unfortunate situation there. Also showing that on the first sector it's very difficult to overtake. Basically a one racing line, and if you try to show your car left and right, but it doesn't really open an overtaking opportunity.
Kozira's up to P5. Tim Dweet goes top. So Tim Dweet, so at the minute it's Dweet and Spearman, P1 and P2. So Spearman's gone quicker than Lynn as well. We saw Lynn was in traffic. So 2 of our 3 pole sitters in the top 2 positions. That's from this season. Tim Dweet has had a couple of P3s in, a couple of wins, wasn't it, at Laguna Seca? And pole at the first day of the weekend as well. He had pole the previous round at Kota. So this would mean another pole at a 3rd different circuit in a row if Dweet can hold on to it. There's the onboard through that long corner of the carousel at turn 6 with Dweet. Dweet's lifted on this lap, hasn't he, Tony? Big time.
Yeah.
So is he desperately trying to find space? No, he's letting cars through.
Yeah, he was letting other cars by. Obviously, a gentleman move not to block other drivers on their fast lap. He has a very big gap to the P2 driver, almost half a second. Maybe he's confident enough that this is good for him. This is enough for him, or maybe a cool down lap. Let's see if timing and scoring at least shows us if he's re-entering the pit lane or not.
Kozira's just done another lap and didn't improve this time round. Corley improved on the previous lap to go P6. Moyes and Crow still improving. Hummel improving as well. So there's still people doing fast laps. Paul Lynn continuing, and in the background, oh, close with Steve Czech on the right-hand side there. I thought that was on, to be fair. I would have thought that Nürnberg would have taken that position, Tony, but he backed out, felt that he hadn't been seen.
Yeah, close call into 11. Maybe Steve Czech was just... Oh, somebody's off. Red Ferrari 1-1 something.
I think it might be Keel. Yeah, Jeffrey Keel. Just took us a moment to see the car number. Keel at the minute is showing us in the last position. I'm just looking, he has done 6 laps.
Yeah, I think with Steve Czech and Jeffrey Nürnberg was Jeffrey trying to overtake Steve Czech, and Czech launching himself for a fast lap, and he realized that Jeff is going to go ahead of him and there's no time to gap anymore as they were entering the last turn, so maybe that was the thing.
Yeah, and of course you're compromising yourself up the inside, aren't you? Much as though Nürnberg would have liked to have got past Czech, I'm sure. You then don't get a good exit from turn 11, and it's very quick all the way up to turn 2. Turn 1 here to me, Tony, is quite brave. Again, a bit like 11. You know, you're coming in there really quick. There's wall on both sides. Just got to turn in and get it done. I think we might ride on board here for it, actually. So this is the exit of 11 and into 12. Tony, talk us through it.
Yeah, here, as you see on the left-hand side, is blind. The wall is inside. You just need to trust. There's free space. Lift, let the car roll. Understeer. He had a little bit of understeer going into 2. He had a cool down lap, so maybe the front tires are not there. Here we see the elevation changes, the roller coaster feeling for driver. Again, you cannot see after the apex. You just need, whoa, he's sliding the car all over the place. Turn 4, then you go downhill before going up the hill again, using the exit curbs, corners with the full throttle. Whoa, braking just down the hill, grip is inside, stay tight. Again, little bit of understeer there. But the car is coming back, so late apex on the second part of the corner, little fix on the visor, maybe a drink bottle, braking into turn 7, double right-hander. Important is a good exit, because after that you go a long distance with the full throttle, trying to kiss those inside curves and to have a good rotation and not to lose the actual racing line. There's no grip, there is dirt, there's dust, and if you go a little bit off the racing line, you end up off the track.
Absolutely brilliant. Thank you, Tony Verlander, talking us through. Down to the braking zone now. You're on board with Tim Dweet, our pole man. Is this going to be an improvement for him through the final couple of corners? This is the kink at turn 12. His current lap time of 1:31.9. He crosses the line. No, 2/10 lower. But that gives you a very, very good idea of what a pole lap looks like around here. One of the things that struck me the most, actually, Tony, was how tricky it is from 1 to 2. There's very little time to straighten the car, and if you don't get the car straight in the braking's only going to drop it.
Yeah, and as we heard, there's a big lift, there's a big rolling in speed, and you are not actually asking a lot from the race car. You don't have the throttle down, you have not activated the rear tires, so sometimes if you have a loose rear at that time, it's very difficult to control, because you're not almost in the right gear, you're low with the RPM, so just a transition with a lot of speed, and if you have a little pump, then you often end up in trouble. Meanwhile, in the timing and scoring, look at the P2, how close it was in the end. Fabian Sperman just 0.03 of a second behind Dweet.
Yeah, brilliant job by Sperman. Melissa Kozira, championship leader, is going to be on row 3 at the moment. She's not showing us in the pits, but she's also not showing us improving on that last lap, so a bit of time to find. Here is Sperman. 0.039 back, as Tony said. He could go for one last attempt here, but I think maybe not. Now Henry Hummel exiting the final corner. Currently sitting 14th, 2.7 off. Doesn't improve this time. End of the session for Copper Shell Am, so it is last chance saloon for anyone who's on a push lap out there. Steve Czech coming round. Czech is in 11th at the moment, just under 2 seconds behind. So Czech coming up to the line. Keep an eye on the left-hand side on the ladder. Does he move or not? He does. Up to P8. Great job by Steve Czech. He finds 4/10 on his final lap. Czech is on 9 laps, so he has used the tyres to get there. So Tim Dweet only did 6 laps, and he did his fast lap on lap 3. And that's what you really want to do. You want to be making sure that you've got some rubber left for later on in the day. As you can see, Jamie Garrett taking the checker in P10. Paul Lynn has crossed the line, so he's no longer a threat for Dweet and Spearman. Spearman crosses the line. The gap is the same to Dweet, so Dweet confirmed on the pole, unless Kozira's on an absolute flyer out there, but she's in the pits, we're hearing. So Kozira not showing on timing as having taken the pit, but she is apparently parked. So Kozira, the championship leader, in 6th place for this one. And Tim Dweet with a pole here. I say he took pole. Tim's taken a pole at Kota in race 2, Laguna Seca in race 1, and now Sonoma in race 1. With the Senna-inspired livery on the side of the car there, you can see Senna's Nacional liveried crash helmet. Good job. 3 poles at 3 different circuits. I think that goes to show he's very much on top of this 296 Challenge car, getting 1 pole somewhere, but with the characteristics of these circuits being so different as well. I mean, to be fair, they've all got good elevation change, Kota, Laguna Seca and Sonoma, so maybe he likes the roller coaster tracks, Tony.
Yeah, I've always said that I really love the tracks in US. They are different compared to Europe, and also what it requires as a confidence with your race car and no real margin for an error. In Europe, we often have tracks with a lot of runoff areas. Everything is tarmac. There's no sand, there's no gravel. And here is different story. If you go off, it has big consequences. So I like the feeling it gives to a driver when you really nail it, when you do a performance that you thought the day before that there's no way I'm going to do below 132, and then you end up doing 131.4, and you go, wow, where did this come from? So these are the moments that really give you a nice feeling as a driver.
Job done. Very nice feeling for Tim Dweet. Lap beautifully described by Tony Vallanda. My name's Andrew Coley. Nina Jade Paul is down in the paddock for us. So if you want to watch the racing later on today, you can join us. I think it was 13:15 local time. It's 1:15 p.m. Pacific time. Tim Dweet is with the aforementioned Nina Jade Paul.
Tim, your 3rd pole position this season, and you made it look quite easy. You came in happy days. How much confidence does it give you heading into the race later?
A lot. We're feeling pretty good. The car seems to be doing well. I like this track. It's a lot of fun. So we're excited. Looking forward to it. It should be a fun race.
Well, you've got the best seat in the house. How important is that at a circuit like Sonoma?
It's huge. This is a hard track to pass at, so it's real important to have a good qualifying run and be up at the front, and then you don't. So hopefully, you can stay out of trouble.
Good luck. I hope you stay out of trouble, Tim.
Thank you.
I think that's very fair, Tony, about the wanting to be on the front row. Tim Dweet takes the pole from Fabian Spearman, Paul Lynn. Then it's Michael Moyes, Daniel Roberts, Melissa Kozira in P6. So only a second over those, 1.1 over the front 3 rows. Number Garrett, Vartugian, Kroos, Sweden, Hummel, Gomez down to P15. A lot of cars in this category. Helen Chu and Jeffrey Kilbert. Tim Dweet with the pole, 131.4. 3 poles at 3 different tracks. Great performance. Tony, how important is a front row start here? Tim thinks it's very important. Melissa's going to have to do some passing. We did see her get some passing done at Laguna Seca, but then, of course, she got some contact, and I think it's a really good example of what Tim is saying. You don't want to have to take those risks.
Yeah, starting position is super important here. Very difficult to overtake. most parts of the track there is one racing line. I've talked with Tim in Laguna. I really like his approach to racing, really humble, a real gentleman, and he has improved a lot during the season, and he's in happy place with his team, with his car, and he's showing a great performance. So he has an excellent place to start for race 1 later today.
On then to our final qualifying session, we are into Copper Shell. So if you're not familiar, there's Copper Shell Am and Copper Shell. They will race together later, and Trofeo Pirelli and Trofeo Pirelli Am. So you start in Shell Am, you move up to Shell as we're on board with Charlie Menard, then up to Pirelli Am, and then up to Pirelli. And then if you're really into it, you'll be hoping to move on to GTs and endurance racing. It's a really good ladder of performance, right from just taking your first ever laps on a track all the way up to becoming a professional driver. You can do the whole thing with Ferrari, if you so choose to do so. It's Chuck Whittle. Chuck had that brilliant livery earlier on this year. We haven't seen it since. So Chuck, I think whenever he had the issue with his car, he hasn't put the fancy chrome livery back on. I want the fancy chrome livery again, Chuck. Silver is cool, though. I'll take it. I'll take it. Tony, what was your favourite livery in terms of race cars? You must. It was. I mean, I guess if you were. Well, like, what was it? You must have had one you really loved.
So with my own liveries that I raced for, there were plenty. Always related to sponsor what Ferrari had at the time. I started with the livery with 430 back in the day in 07-ish. I had the Motorola livery, so Ferrari red, blue and white. That was really nice. With ESM we had nice liveries where we won at Petit Le Mans in Road Atlanta. The Le Mans winning cars were quite basic liveries, and yeah, those. I think they were saying something that a winning car is always beautiful. So many of the memories, many of the liveries are related to great stories we had on track. So also often the Risi car, Mr. Risi always wants his Ferrari cars, or often he wants them Ferrari red, not a lot of sponsors, and keep it very simple. That's also a very nice approach. So really colorful themes and liveries we never had. But there's always more stories. We had a special race where we came back from P-last to winning Le Mans or something like this, so that livery is nice. Then again in racing, a lot of my favorite liveries are related to F1 where Kimi was racing, or when Mika Häkkinen was racing, or when late Ayrton Senna was racing. So a lot of those memories and livery related things go to certain drivers as well.
Yeah, I love that, mate. And of course, a couple of Finns in there. If you were wondering, Tony Vlander is of course Finnish, so he's allowed to have Finnish favourites, and whose favourite is not Kimi Räikkönen? You know, leave me alone. I know what I'm doing.
But also rally cars. I almost forgot. Although I love the era of Group B cars in the late 80s. So great liveries, great sponsorship teams cars that still people recognize until today. And by the way, being ahead of Finnish Federation, we have the World Championship Rally next week, the 1,000 Lakes Rally.
Yes.
Today, nowadays called Sector Rally Finland. So I'm going to go there when I travel back. I'm going to go there next week. So it will be a big thing, completely new role for me. But I think I'm even there for the prize giving ceremony on Sunday. So if you see me on TV, say hi.
Tony Vlander, you legend. Yeah, Tony is the head of the Finnish Motorsport Federation. So each country has its own federation which runs the sport, and they come under then the FIA. And Tony is heading up the Finnish Federation. So yeah, only right that he gives a nod to the rally, the fastest rally actually in the World Rally Championship. You're looking at Ryan Dayton. He heads into turn 4. Dropping down towards the carousel. So look at this crest here, and then the downhill section. Look at these, just a long left-hander. The other thing about the carousel, Tony, is this can really thrash the front right, can't it? And the right side of the car particularly, and you've got the same situation then in turn 1 right the way through to turn 2. So a couple of very quick corners where you're leaning on the car are very heavily using the one corner of the Pirellis.
Yes, Carousel turn 6 is a very hard corner for the tires, but very hard corner for the drivers as well. Very easy to lose a lot of lap time. I fixed turn 1, I fixed turn 2, I'm fast in the last sector, but where do I lose the time in the middle of the track? And often is Carousel. Blind entry, rolling speed is huge. You need to trust that the grip will be there, and eventually the car will land on his 4 wheels in the entry, and then as soon as you feel a little bit of rotation, you need to be on throttle to get the maximum speed going into turn 7. So Carousel, very important corner for qualifying and racing as well.
Thank you, Tony. You're looking at Kevin Orsini in the second of these two cars, P1. 131.2. Michael Owens looking just 26 hundredths off him. Charlie Menard 3/10. Blake Rosser 4/10. Chuck Whittle 4/10. It is very, very close, and we're not even halfway through the session yet. Orsini with the Lightning McQueen livery. Of course, Lightning McQueen very recently at the Goodwood Festival of Speed. Don't know if Orsini was at the wheel or not. I suspect not. But well, obviously, Lightning McQueen drives himself. Barry moves up into P3. Scott Barry, so a new name for me as we look at Lewis Flory, who's been in the series a bit longer, certainly for us, more familiar. So Scott Barry with a great lap to go, P3. Lewis Flory is P9 at the moment. Charlie Menard, who sits in 4th place, so let's see if Menard's going to improve on this lap early on the throttle. Nicely out of turn 11. Don't want to open it up too much there and get sideways and lose lap time. Crosses the line. Menard doesn't improve. So the drivers, Ross, Owens. Owens actually just crossed the line. So Owens has rested the car for a lap there because it's come across 8 seconds slower. Dayton moves up to P3. All happening here, Tony. Loads of position changes in Copper Shell. It has been very close this year.
Yeah, both the top drivers, Orsini and Owens, a little bit of up and down season. Sometimes it's a super performance, and sometimes a little bit lost in qualifying or in racing. Orsini, very happy. We met him in Laguna Seca, and also Owens. I've talked with him several times this season, and often he had some issues, some things not going right on his way, but now in qualifying he's very close to a pole position, and actually top 4 drivers only 2/10 apart, so very close qualifying in this Coppa Shell, and nice to see Orsini and Owens on the top 2 places.
Oh, we've got an off.
Somebody's off.
We've got an off. Don't think they've quite made it to the wall, so and they're getting the car moving. It is the 191. It's Glenn Moss. So Glenn Moss, look at the dust on the car. So Glenn Moss has dropped it. That's the braking zone. So he's come over the crest at 3A and dropped it on the brakes, I think, down into turn 4 as he heads now towards Carousel. We can take a look back at that one. Watch for the crest in the background. Here it is. Blind. Too wide.
Yeah, just off. He was already off very early, leaving the previous corner, and just was not even riding the curb on his left-hand side wheels, or he was already on the dirt. So just too much entry speed into 3, and then just off the line in the exit of the corner. Luckily, no contact with the barrier.
Last year, that's where we had the 2 cars that did hit the barrier, and strange that it sounds, when the grass is greener and there's a bit more moisture around, you're going to slide further. And in fact, the fact that the grass at the minute is very dead and dusty, he was checked up by the dust and dirt on the run towards the wall. As you see Waltersdorf in P8 coming round for the line. And then have a look at some of the championship positions, a little run through. He crosses the line. Waltersdorf, it's not an improvement. So we're starting to see now only 1 or 2. Charlie Menard is the only driver improved on the last one. It was Menard that I wanted to talk about because he's on a run of 4 wins in a row, 6 podiums in a row. So he was P3 twice at Sebring, and then has won both the races at Kota and both the races at Laguna Seca. So Charlie Menard really on the march. Blake Rosser is the championship leader, and he was moved up from the AM category after the first meeting. Chuck Whittle sits in P2. Andrew Parker is currently 4th in the standings, but I can't see him on the timing screens today, so he maybe not entered this weekend. Here's Dayton, who's currently 3rd. Look at that, Tony's .069 across the top 3 cars.
Yeah, it's very close to the top. Shows also the work that Ferrari does with these different categories, putting together with drivers with similar experience, similar pace, creating 4 very intense and close battled categories. And yeah, those gaps, if you say 600s, it can be one braking zone, it can be just one corner, or I just stopped the car a little bit too much at the apex, or I missed the tires by 1 lap. I made a mistake on the best lap. So that's not even a skill you didn't have or the setup you didn't have. It's just how you nailed that 1 lap. And this is a perfect show of different teams, different drivers, how equal the performance is.
It is indeed. Orsini still leads, as Tony was just saying, less than 700ths over the top 3. Dayton has pitted, so he's decided that's the best he's got. Rosser, the championship leader, still out there, as you can see. Him and Chuck Whittle. Oh, Rosser dives up the inside as Whittle decides enough is enough. So here we go then. Blake Rosser in the 113, the toy box liveried car. Slides out of turn 11. He's looking for a good lap time here. Wants to get on the front row if he can over the checkered flag line. Doesn't improve this time round. So does he go again or no, Tony?
Let's see. We're already 13 minutes into the session. You use many laps on your tires, so difficult to improve. We've seen the close gaps, but already we see on the timing and scoring that the P3 driver Dayton is already in the pits. So we also mentioned often that to save the tires for the race, you need them for the 30-minute race. Very difficult to say, but I would say the best performance from the tire is gone.
Carroll up through the first corner. 9th at the moment, 0.9 off. Here's Lewis Flory up at the far end of the circuit, turn 7. Flory's down in 11th, but he's still pushing on this one. You can see from how quick the hand movement is. I don't think he's on an in-lap. If he's on an in-lap, it's a quick one. Nobody improving on their last lap, which is, as Tony says, they're towards the end of the peak condition of the tyres. Lewis Flory coming in, hoping for one last improvement. He could get another lap in, but at this stage in the session, it's going to be tricky. Flory then, hoping to come up a couple of rows if he can. Uses the track through the last corner, but no improvement, I'm afraid. Evans has a dive to the inside. Brad Evans, 12th. Is he going to make an improvement right at the end of the session? No. Tony, I think probably tyre life over if you've left it this late.
Yeah, I would say at least with the top drivers, we've seen already their best performance. Some of the drivers still on track. I think this is Waltersdorf trying to push hard, but oh no, it's 113.
It's Rosser again.
Rosser, yeah, Blake Rosser, sorry.
Yeah.
So he's still on it, trying to improve his grid position. Car was sliding in the entry already on 4 wheels, not real understeer or oversteer, just sliding on the surface of all 4 tires. Yeah,
Come on, Blake, prove us wrong. Yeah. Can he prove us wrong on the very final lap here? The checkered flag is out. Blake Rosser currently sits in P4, but he is your championship leader here in Copper Shell, and he is on a push lap to finish the session off. Come on, Blake. Through the sequence of corners leading down to the big braking zone. He's not going to quit the lap and head off left into the pits. He's very late here. The car's moving around just a little on the brakes. Uses all the curb. It's the Kaminsky line through the final corner. Has Rosser got anything left? 0.2 of a second was what he was off. He's still pushing. Can he see something on his dash we can't see? No, not quite. So Rosser takes the checkered flag, and I'm sure that will now settle it. Kevin Orsini with a good early lap. He did 6 laps in total, and he set the lap on lap number 3. So, yeah, very good indeed. Whittle set his fast lap on 3, as did Waltersdorf and Lully. But of the top runners, Orsini got that fast lap in earlier than anybody else. Lap 3 out of 6. He's got good tyres left as well. Look how pleased he is. He's absolutely over the moon. And that's his first lap this year, his first pole this year, maybe his first pole ever. Kevin Orsini in Lightning McQueen. We've been lucky enough to meet his family at several events this year. Congratulations, mate. That is a brilliant lap under some pressure. Johnny Kaminsky was there to congratulate him. That's how we want to see people, Tony, all excited when they've taken the pole.
Yeah, interesting to see that in the same team we have the Pirelli pole sitter, but also here in Shell Orsini. So when you have a leading driver in the team, and you can see from the telemetry how a lap time of 1:28 is done, maybe it pulls the other driver as well to perform better. You know where to improve. Hey, here you lost 2/10 in the braking. Here you just need to increase the speed. You are 3-4 miles down in the entry speed. So often with the telemetry, I go with the simple things. Where do I need to improve? Which are the main areas? Not small details, 0.05 here. It's 2/10, 3/10, where, and the rolling speed, braking point. And this helps the other drivers with a little bit less experience to perform at their best as well. And it's not a coincidence that in the same team, you have at least 2 pole sitters.
Agreed. Sharing data as the cars roll back into the paddock in the background. You can see here the fantastic setups that come with these teams. They really do make an absolutely brilliant effort to make this championship look very pretty, both in the paddock and out on track. Nina J. Paul, where are you?
Where am I? I'm down with Kevin for your first ever pole positions. Congratulations. We saw just how much it means to you and your team. You waited in the car watching the screens until it was official. Talk us through how you're feeling.
Oh, that was the most nerve-wracking 3 minutes of my life, sitting there waiting for some really good drivers to come around. I can't even describe how excited I am. This has been a journey. My coach, Jeff Siegel, my assistant coach, Jackson Bell, Pete Spinella, 111, Robbie Pierre. This team is amazing. So excited. Henry and Sadie, I love you guys. You're over in Casa Ferrari. This is awesome.
Absolutely. So what's the mindset for later today, Kevin? Can you get the victory? We can hear your team cheering for you. Can you get this win?
Absolutely. We got the first pole. We're going for the first win.
Absolutely. Good luck, Kevin. Congratulations.
So Thank you so much.
And of course, your pole position
Congratulations. Brilliant stuff. Kevin Orsini giving a shout out to his lovely family in Casa Ferrari. Absolutely, what a great bloke. Super stoked, and rightly so. His first ever pole position for Kevin Orsini in Lightning McQueen. Michael Owens P2, then Dayton, Rossa Menard, Barry Whittle, and Waltersdorf, your top 8. And we move on to Carol, Moss, Flory, Evans, and Luley. I was recently bought a Lego Lightning McQueen, and in honour of Kevin Orsini's brilliant performance there, I might just have to build it now. It was bought for my 50th birthday. Look at that. I'm going to build that and stick it on my shelf. Great job, Tony. What a brilliant qualifying session. Great performances across the various categories.
Yeah, this shows the character of this track, and I put few notes already for the race. Racing will be intense. This is a driver's track, but we need also respect. Many places there's one single racing line, and drivers do realize that overtaking is not easy. So does that create chaos for the start? Sometimes restart or safety car brings more safety cars. So this will be an intense race in the first hours of afternoon, and some interesting action on track.
Thank you, Tony Villander. Yeah, if you'd like to see that action, you can join us later on today. 13:15, that's 1:15 p.m. Pacific time. We've got an air show, followed, of course, by Trofeo Pirelli and Copper Shell races for you. It will be a great afternoon. So if you can't be with us in Casa Ferrari, then make sure you join us online to watch later. Thank you, Tony Villander, Nina J. Paul. My name's Andrew Coley. We'll see you this afternoon for more from Ferrari Challenge North America.